Well, he's certainly someone I've admired. Although I did try to talk to him once at a party, and he was super rude to me. Larry Page is an old friend of mine. I've known Larry since before he got venture funding for Google. I mean, he obviously was an incredible guy and made fantastic products. The guy had a certain magic about him, you know, just sort of, that was really inspiring. So, I mean, I think that's really great.
Is there that magic that you try and emulate?
No, I think Steve Jobs is way cooler than I am, so.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because in my first business, I struggled to believe in myself. I quit on my business partner. And the thing that saved me was watching the successful stories of entrepreneurs. They gave me the inspiration to keep going, as well as the strategies of what to do. And quite honestly, I still need their stories and motivation today as well. So today, let's live your best believed life and learn what successful entrepreneurs think about Steve Jobs. Enjoy.
I think that Steve Jobs came along, became an icon, but the sad part of that narrative was he did not treat his employees well. He became an icon, and the narrative became he got the most out of people by being a jerk, and that became romanticized. And a lot of people in Silicon Valley today run companies where they're mean because they think that's the right thing to do because they put Steve Jobs on a pedestal. I want my pedestal moment. I want to become that big, and what I want to come from that is that kids that aren't even born today think that they can build a $5 billion company and be a great guy or a great gal. I want to build the biggest building in town ever by just building the biggest building in town, while I think most people try to tear down everybody else's building.
It's really easy to imitate the bad parts of Steve, of at times being an and it is, I have yet to meet any person who, in terms of picking talent, hyper-motivating that talent, and having a sense of design of, oh, this is good, this is not good. So he brought some incredibly positive things along with that toughness. And I always said that I was like a minor wizard because he would be casting spells and I would see people mesmerized. But because I'm a minor wizard, the spells don't work on me. I could not cast those spells. But I'd see them and I would say, hey, wait, don't. You're going to work even more than I would ask you to. This is crazy. Or, you know, like when he did the Next introduction, which is a computer that completely failed. It was such nonsense. And yet he mesmerized those people. Oh, yes. Million by a million and black cube and all this stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, that spell should not work at all. It doesn't have any reality to it. So Steve is a very singular case where the company really was on a path to die, and it goes and becomes the most valuable company in the world with some products that are really quite amazing. That there aren't going to be many stories like that.
2 words, Steve Jobs. The toughest bastard you've ever met. He is tough. He was, you know, I went to so I called him up. I said to him, listen, Steve, you have 2.5% of the market, and we are your number.
Sorry, what year is this?
This is 1998.
Before Apple ruled the universe, they were in a wobbly situation.
Yeah, they had 2.5% share. My development cost was $54 million a year for his titles. You know, I was the #1 title on the Mac platform for reading and math. And I called him up and I said, look, Steve, I need to meet with you. The economics aren't working for me. He said, sure, I'll take a meeting with you. So we go out to Cupertino, and Jobs shows up with probably 7 other executives in the room. I'm there with my head sales guy. I said, Steve, thanks for coming out. I have a very simple request. You're going to have to give me $54 million if you want me to develop the next cycle of titles for the Mac, because there's no economics that makes sense for me. He looked at me and he just started to berate me, verolic, every swear word in the world. He said, are you out of your beep, 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 beep? And then he got up out of his chair and he circled around and said, you piece of beep, beep, beep. I'm looking at him, I'm stunned. Like the guy is just beating me up verbally. I'm used to hard times, so, you know, whatever. I said, hey, listen, this is all great, but are you going to give me the $54 million? And he said, get out of here, get in the parking. He's just abusive like crazy. I said, okay, this is over. I walk up to the parking lot, and there's one of these windows you have to roll up to the bottom, and he rolls up, and he's yelling at me from down in the parking lot. I looked up and said, so do we have a deal or not? He said, call me tomorrow. Like, the guy just wanted to beat me up because he was, I guess, frustrated. Because
he had a lot of pressure, too.
Oh, my goodness. But anyways, at the end of the day, we remained the #1 player on the Mac platform. We built a business off it. Years later, I met WOZNIAK, and who was a completely different kind of guy. But I understand how jobs work. There's a certain amount of fear in that organization for him. I mean, he tears into people after he looks at the IA or anything of a product, and he'll rip their heads off.
Yeah, like people don't want to get in an elevator with him.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Steve was clearly the most outstanding business thinker, and almost everybody who's high up in the technology business recognized that somehow he had the ability to think out new ways of doing things, not just ways to improve what we have, do a better version of something, but do it in a totally different way that the world would swing towards. And then I think back to just all the times we had together, very, very good times that you have when you're young, and playing around with the systems and little misbehavior and doing interesting things. And then he was always thinking about certain technology, the early products that got developed, the building parts, what those might lead to in our future. And he was always pushing me as an engineer. Could you possibly add this someday? Could you possibly add that someday? Yes, I could, thinking, no, it's way, way off. But eventually we all did. We went into the garage when we were 2 young people with no money. You have to work out of your home. We had jobs on the side. We had nobody that could loan us money. We had no business experience. We're like 1 million young people who are so excited about the future they might have someday in business, making something just out of their ideas. That's what we were. And over and over and over, all the products of Apple, from iPhones and iPads, iPods, these were just unbelievable life changers. And almost everyone who heads a technology company looks at Steve Jobs as, where did he get the ideas to do it the right way? We were just the lucky partnership. He was lucky to have me in the beginning, but I am much, incredibly lucky to him for everything in my life. He gets a reputation for being a strong leader and being brash, but to me, he was just always so kind, such a good friend, and I'm just going to miss him.
All right, Steve Wozniak, co-founder of Apple. Thank you very much. Well said. Thank you.
Steve Jobs, I know people who knew him. He always said what he thought. And he was pretty damn cut and dried about it, which is why the Apple products are such miracles of technological mastery. He had an unbelievably canny design eye and was very, he cut whole projects without a second thought in some sense when they weren't working.
He did that when he came back to Apple the second time, refined the entire product line, got rid of a ton of different things, and so we're focusing on this. Yeah.
Right. So that was proof. I mean, maybe it was fluke the first time, which it wasn't, but coming back and doing it again the second time showed pretty clearly it wasn't.
Steve Jobs got fired from Apple. Fundamentals matter, and they brought in John Sculley, a traditional entrepreneur or a traditional CEO who was good at what he did, but he wasn't the guy to drive Apple to new heights. They had to bring Steve back. That's just the nature of great companies. These guys, they don't cash out like me. They stay there because they're committed and they're dedicated, and you've got to take some of the uniqueness of each person as part of what you invest in.
When I first saw Steve speak in person, it was 1980. I was 15 years old, and he was mesmerizing. And the vision that he laid out for Apple and the personal computer was incredibly powerful. And I did get to know him. Certainly, I said some things that I describe it in the book in great detail. So
you did the whole, yeah.
and look, I think these things get made out to be they take on a life of their own. But the reality is that Steve and I were able to be friends and good friends. And his birthday was one day after mine, and we had a shared love for a particular place in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And we would often find ourselves there on our birthdays, and spend time together and go on long walks and talk about technology and the world and our kids. And he was a singular force. Obviously, now you've got roughly 5 billion people in the world connected, carrying little computers around with them, and it's amazing what's occurred. Because of his insistence and vision and focus. So I don't think it'll be another Steve Jobs.
Steve meant so much to me and so much to all of us. There's not a day that goes by that we don't think about him. Memories have especially come rushing back as we prepared for today and this event. It's taken some time, but we can now reflect on him with joy instead of sadness. Steve's spirit and timeless philosophy on life will always be the DNA of Apple.
This question comes from Rim. He says that Steve Jobs was said to have a bad temperament. He often subjected his employees to profanity, fired them in public, and pushed them to the extreme limits of performance. He is also considered one of the greatest innovators of our time. Is such behavior justified as long as one delivers results?
I don't usually like to make a personal comment about somebody who's already dead, okay? But I'm asking you, one thing is what we do, another thing is what kind of human beings we are. Is it important what kind of human being you are? Hello? Yes. I did something, what did I do? I designed a phone. If you did not design it, Koreans would have done it, Chinese would have done it, Indians also beginning to do it. Yes or no? There is a certain brand building process in the world with which you can build a brand. And see, I want you to understand, you're a doctor, at least on the way. Does this body need oxygen or carbon dioxide? Oxygen. Oxygen. But people pumped carbon dioxide into your bottle and said the real thing, Coca-Cola. It's the largest brand on the planet, all right? More people drink, at least all these years, more people drank Coca-Cola than people did yoga or people did anything else. In the remotest part of this country, if you went 20 years ago, if you utter the word yoga, they didn't know what it was. But if you said Coca-Cola, they knew what it was. So just because it's branded like this and marketed like this, does it become that your system has become such it likes carbon dioxide and doesn't like oxygen? Is it so? No. So you can brand things in so many ways, you don't go by these things. You tell me, is it important that you are a pleasant and wonderful human being? Is it important for you? Yes. Otherwise you look at it the other way around. Do you like to be shouted at right now? I can shout. You like to be shouted at? No. Then why do you think somebody else likes it? Hello? You don't want to be abused, isn't it? Would you like to be abused? Then why do you ever think that somebody else likes it? When you don't like it, You know it is not nice to you. Why do you do it to this person? Why do you do that? You lost your humanity fundamentally, isn't it? So, just because you made a lot of money, I don't think it means anything. Alexander, the great idiot, conquered half the known world. What does it mean? It doesn't mean a damn thing to me. Only a fool would call such a man as a great man. He just spent his whole life killing people, and you call him Alexander the Great? No, they forgot his third name, it was idiot. So, please do not go by these standards. Somebody has this much money, so he becomes a great man? I don't think so. Anyway, you untimely death with cancer happened, you didn't pack all your money and go, there's no container service in the end. He went to the extent of saying that whatever at that time he had some $46 billion personal worth. He said, even if I have to use this $46 billion, every dollar of it, I would like to destroy Google. Because that is it. They're not making phones, but they have become more prominent in the country. So you want to kill it, even if you lose all your money. There are people like this. Even if both my eyes go, I want to take one eye of hers. This is the crudest level of existence as far as I'm concerned.
Who is your entrepreneurial idol, or who is your idol in business?
I think Steve Jobs made his own company, got kicked out of it, made a new company, got brought back into his old company. He's a superstar.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag Believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. To see what successful entrepreneurs think about Warren Buffett, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I'm not his biggest fan, but he does like capital allocation, and he reads a lot of sort of annual reports of companies, and pretty boring, really. And he's trying to figure out, is Coke or Pepsi deserve more capital? It's kind of a boring job.